Other team member have to leave?
Yeah. She left like an hour ago.
Okay, let's see. You're Kristen on the right? Give me your names again.
Lisa,
Lisa.
Shadana, Sabrina. Danielle left.
Okay.
And
Now,
let's put this closer.
okay, so what you guys are going to do from here is you're going to have a client strategy meeting. You're going to get together. Can you hear me? Okay. You're going to get together and process all the information you got and zero in on what you think needs to be done. Because in a couple of weeks, you're going to be doing the client. You're going to be putting together the client, the creative briefs. Okay. One of them is he said a brochure, but it might be in some other format you put it in. Maybe it's a postcard, but something what I call a leave behind, a pass along. He goes to lots of meetings. He needs something to give to somebody besides a business card. And I would think one of your main objectives would be to talk him into spending some money for some quality printing because he wants to really show off his signs. And the variety, I liked the photo editing going over there, picking the variety and the good pictures and showing off some of his best work, right? But you want to put together these creative briefs, and you're then going to present to him. See, what you're doing is you as a team are putting together a campaign, an outline of all the things you think would be best for him to do as far as meeting the communications needs of what his message is, how he's going to convey it, who's his audience. That's your task because that's what you're learning in this class. And so you'll want to recommend certain printing pieces, certain media, social media, websites, all that kind of stuff. And basically what he's trying to say, that's what you're trying to figure out. His elevator speech. He goes to a lot of meetings, right? He's got 30 seconds to say what he does. He really needs to know that message. And you need to put it in a form that he can pass that along. So you're going to put together like a slideshow presentation or some sort of presentation to him as feedback so that before you start doing all of this work, just make sure that he buys into your approach. Because if he buys into the approach, later he's going to have to spend some money on it. So you really want to put something together that he's going to actually put some resources into. Otherwise, what's the point of this exercise?
So are we pretty much just answering questions and like creating a document?
Yeah, you're answering questions. What is his message? Who is his audience? What's his main problem? Who's his competition? What is his strength? So you're getting that all together so that the designer can take this information and say, oh, I'm going to put it together like this. Basically, I went through the communication model with you. And then I also went through a little more detail the design process. And you as a designer, your whole function is to understand the message, package it, put it into a vehicle that can be delivered to the audience. You have to understand that whole process. It's not your message, right? So you have to understand what it is. And it's not like, well, I make signs. That's really not his message. His message could be, I have great value in promoting your business by creating a sign in this way because this is my strength. He needs to have a lot more detail. And so to sell what he's doing, to get people to buy into it, to spend the money on what he's doing, he's really got to explain what that is. And that's what your role is. That's part of what we call the research project, the process of designing. And it's the ideation part. You as a designer will have to do that. But this class, that's all you're doing. You're not actually doing the design part unless you want to. So the designer...
He doesn't know his competition.
Yeah, you have to help him understand that. He may know it, but he just can't verbalize it. It's a real process for you to sit down and soul search and realize, what am I about? what do I really do? One real good example that I give is of the railroad industry. They're almost went out of business, right? FedEx came along, airplanes came along, all these things came along, and shipping. What do railroads do? They thought they were in the railroad business instead of in the transport business, transporting anything, including information. They owned all the railways. They had telegraph lines that went along their railroads. Why didn't they think of burying cables and fiber optics? And because they owned the land already. See, they just thought all we do is ship on rails. And they didn't realize what they do. He thinks I do signs. He does more than signs. He presents an image out there very publicly that grabs the attention. I mean, how many times have you gone to a mini mall and they have those big marquees with everybody's sign on there? And do you ever pay attention to those? Just a bunch of words. If you know that the business is in that mall, you might look on the sign. But some of the mini malls, they're all the same. Nothing pops out. What does he do? Is he good in designing things? Is he good in the technology? Well, you have to find that out. Is he just a mediocre sign guy and just like anybody else? Hey, how many sign companies do neon also for small businesses? So you have to kind of zero in on that message and put it together so that he says, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm about. And then the designer, which eventually will be you, understands the message, understands the audience, and can enunciate that. You've got all the assets gathered, and so all you have to do next is then know how to design. I think I mentioned the first week of the course that there's 4 things a designer needs to know before he begins to design professionally. He has to really understand the message. He has to really understand the audience, and he has to understand the format, the channel, the vehicle, what he's working with. And then he has to understand design principles, right? We're not concentrating too much on the design principles in this course. That's going to get passed off to those that are specializing in learning layout and typography and that kind of stuff. But see, you're concentrating on getting a handle on the message and the audience and the assets and the ideas. That's what you're doing. You're doing the research and then formulating it. So there's no format into the Creative Brief. You can do it in any way you want. There are lots of different formats out there. I'll see if I can give you some more information on that. I didn't want to give you a template and then all you end up is just plugging in stuff. I want you to go through the exploring, because his...
No, it's okay. We're all right trying to hear him.
So anyway, maybe you can, if you play this back, you can hear me a little bit better if there's a part you missed, okay? But I'm impressed with your team, not because it's all girls, but because you're all there. And you all showed up. That was really good. You guys obviously are not just out of high school. So how many of you guys have some work experience under your belt? Any of you?
I work for a web development company.
Okay. Have you guys just got out of high school and went into college, and that's it?
Yep. Out of high school, straight to college.
Okay, well, you look a little more mature than that. But it's nice to have someone on your team with some experience in business and real world. And when you don't have that, that's what you're trying to learn. And so by listening to him and picking out what you think would attract the audience, hold their attention, and convey the message as quickly as possible, that's what you're putting together. Yeah. So anyway, I'm available if you have any other questions. Okay. Thanks for including me in. I'm glad I can help. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
My computer is about to die. So obviously,
Yes, I know. Don't worry about it. I'm like,